Now, one of the unfortunate things about fandom is, as awesome as it is, and I've loved being a part of it for my whole life, boy, we can be assholes sometimes. And one of the big things that unfortunately we've seen a lot of trending in is the brave anonymous keyboard warriors who take it upon themselves to be totally abusive to people online because they don't like their character or whatever. When I say abusive, I don't just mean, your character wasn't my cup of tea. No, I mean...
Yeah, that's what I hear online.
Yeah, I don't quite agree with you. That's fine. Not. We're talking about like the venomous, like awful, toxic, cancerous, racist, like everything you can imagine kind of stuff. And we've seen a lot of people like who are involved in acting or filmmaking or whatever just have to get off social media which is really unfortunate. One of the people who's been at the receiving end of that is the actress who plays Iris on CW's The Flash, Candice Patton. And she recently came out and said that she almost walked away from the show during season 2 because of the sheer amount of online abuse that she was getting. And now she talks a lot in the interview about she decided to stay because she felt there was a responsibility, because at that point, because remember, this Flash show started airing, 9 years ago?
Yeah.
8 years ago? At that point, there wasn't a wide diversity of representation in comic book material yet at that time. And so she said she felt kind of responsibility to stick it out and blah, blah. One of the interesting things, though, is that she kind of criticized Warner Brothers that they didn't do anything to protect her. Now, Rob, a number of days ago, you and I were kind of talking about this issue. Number one, I would totally be behind. You'd have to be very careful how you drafted it. I would totally be behind any law that got passed for social media that you had to use your real name on social media. Like none of this, I'm a cowardly little cuck hiding behind some, I'm Boobmaster 715, you little coward. No, I'd be totally for.
Why you gotta out me that way?
Damn it. Sorry about that. Like
Any other name?
I would be totally okay with some kind of law being passed on social media that, hey, you have the freedom to say whatever you want to say, but you got to stand behind what you say. You got to let people know it's you saying it. Let's see how brave you are then. I'd be totally for that. But the reality is, whenever you put yourself out there to be in a movie or in a TV show or on a YouTube video, you're going to be the target of some lowlifes. I mean, that's just part of the reality of life. It is what
Look at our talkbacks.
Look at ours, right? So I get her frustration.
Yep.
And I can only imagine, because I mean, we get stuff because we're on YouTube, right? So we get stuff like that. But I am a white, straight male. So I get a very different kind of backlash than something that Candice would get, right? So I can't even imagine the type of vitriol that she would have to be exposed to all the time. Yeah. So, but the question becomes, in kind of saying like Warner Brothers should have done more to protect me, what can Warner Brothers do? I mean, and I don't want to sound like I'm trying to give Warner Brothers an out on this, but really, what is Warner Brothers supposed to do? Is Warner Brothers supposed to jump online and just say, just tweet things of their own in her defense? Well, if you do, these knuckle dragger, basement dwelling cousin humpers, they're the ultimate straw man arguers, right? Like if they say, hey, listen, guys, we're seeing a lot of this racist stuff being sent at Candice, you're going to get these knuckle draggers going, Warner Brothers is saying if you don't like their show, you're just racist. It's like their ultimate straw, these cousin humpers, they're the ultimate straw man argument people. But that's what would happen. It only would have made the problem even worse if they had done that. So short of getting off social media, I'm not quite sure what Warner Brothers could have done to protect her. Again, it sucks that she was the target of that kind of online abuse. But at the same time, I'm like, but okay, I get that. And that sucks. But what was Warner Brothers supposed to do about it? I'm not really sure what the answer to that question is. Now, granted, I'm not the world's biggest expert on social media, so maybe there's an obvious answer going right over my head.
From cringing at the pump to getting an eye-popping check at your favorite restaurant, inflation is hitting us all where it hurts. And it really hurts. That's why you should start using Upside. Upside is an incredible app for anyone who buys gas, groceries, or dines out. With every purchase, you'll earn cash back thanks to Upside. Every time you leave the house, you can use Upside. The app is incredibly easy to use. It isn't too good to be true. You can use it yourself and see that it works. Upside is a no-brainer. What do you plan to do with all your cash back? To get started, download the free Upside app in the App Store or Google Play. Use our promo code CAMPEA and get $5 or more cash back on your first purchase of $10 or more. Next, claim an offer for whatever you're buying on Upside. Check in at the business, pay as usual with a credit card or debit card, and get paid. In comparison to credit card rewards or loyalty programs, you can earn 3 times more cash back with Upside. You can cash out anytime to your bank account, PayPal, or an e-gift card for Amazon and other brands. Upside users are earning more than $1 million every week. That's probably why they have a 4.8 star rating on the App Store. Download the free Upside app and use promo code CAMPEA to get $5 or more cash back on your first purchase of $10 or more. That's $5 or more cash back on your first purchase of $10 or more using the promo code CAMPEA.
But anyway, Rob, you hear about this situation. You know, it sucks that a young lady pursuing her dream, being an actress, gets to be a big highlighted thing, a show like this, becomes a target of a lot of abuse. But if you're going to be a celebrity, you're going to have to understand that that's going to be partially a part of it. But what could Warner Brothers have done, do you think?
I honestly, I don't know. I don't know what, because it's not an area they can't even police, even if they wanted to. You know, you can't go on to a lot of, whether it's Reddit, whether it's Twitter, whether it's TikTok, whether it's Facebook or anywhere, where you go. They're a film company. And first of all, as an aside, have you seen Candice? She's the kind of girl you should run to open a door for her if you see her with her groceries in her hand.
Well, as you should with anyone.
I was going to say, as opposed to.
Well,
as opposed to if you're not as hot as
Open
Candice,
your own door,
no doors for you.
that's
no,
not what I meant. You know, I was just trying to use, now it's everybody. No, but it's just, I don't understand. Look,
in the face.
I don't care. A woman who is 80 years old, I open doors for everybody, like you said. Yeah, and men too.
Like a lady says, excuse me, could you open this door for me? And you go, wait a minute, let me get a better look at you.
And 6 out of 10. I'll open it, I won't hold
Bad
it.
example, I just think she's a very attractive woman.
Of course, absolutely, yeah.
That's all I was making the point. I don't understand why she would have to suffer any online abuse. But you know what's interesting to me is, I think, having been in the fan space, fans have a hard time dealing with adaptation. From, if something is not exactly like it was in the comics, they don't. Hugh Jackman casts as Wolverine. What? Everybody gets mad. 6'2", strapping, handsome song and dance man from Australia is not.
Would you hold the door for him?
I would absolutely hold the door for him. By God, I would, and I would do it twice on Sunday. No, but you know what I mean? It's like, I see this all, and we see this all the time. And when fans perceive that what they're used to in one medium, when it gets translated to another, there's a lot of fan vitriol. And I do think that a studio could be a little bit more proactive in making people aware of this beforehand, because a lot of actors, they're not fans. They're not deeply, a lot of the time, the first time they're dealing with genre material is when they get cast in these roles. So they don't understand what the fan base is, you know?
Right.
And this, I remember, dude, I was on Star Trek websites. I was on chat boards on AOL, and we would get some
Chat boards on AOL.
vitriolic arguments, 30 years ago about warp nacelle design, and they've changed the warp speeds in the original series and the next generation. And, you would get, and these things, it's not like this has not happened for years and years and years. So I do think maybe that when you are brought into any franchise property of any kind, any science fiction, fantasy, horror, any beloved franchise, especially if it's being adapted from another medium that's been around for a while, that maybe have a, I don't know what you call it, they've got HR departments, have a package or some kind of a thing.
Just really, like, make sure you give your stars training and how to deal with it themselves to
yeah, that's what I mean. And just make them aware of it, because you know, it's somebody like you think, oh, I get cast in a Star Wars movie. This is the greatest thing that's ever happened to me. And then suddenly you're being bullied off Twitter when you're just an actor saying the words that somebody else gave you to say. And I think that actors, they're like, for the most part, actors have a joyous, I was cast in a show. They're not thinking, I don't know what Iris West looked like, you know, in the Flash comics. I've never read the Flash comics before. This is a great job. I just got hired for a CW TV show. I'm on the Flash. How great is this? Well, it's good.
Yeah, there's a dark side to it too. Anyway, Amy, you hear about this sort of thing, and it's awful when any individual has to suffer that kind of stuff. But what do you think maybe could have been done otherwise?
I mean, I think just there's fandom, and then there is, as you were kind of touching on, John, just what can happen to women, and especially women of color and people of color in these communities. It's going to be a hatred that goes beyond, this isn't what they look like in the comics. I don't like that. There's unfortunately very hateful people where that is going to be beyond just like, oh, they hurt my feelings. This feels dangerous and scary and hateful in a way that, you know, doesn't necessarily happen to everybody. It is hard because it is the internet. In what I saw, it seemed like there was some complaints on her end that there were comments being left up. And I'm assuming she's referring to like CW, like actual social media posts where comments were left standing.
Where they do have power to do something.
And that is something where they could go, we're not going to tolerate misogyny or racism, you know, and we're keeping this a space where that you can have your opinion, but that's not being tolerated. But I do agree that unfortunately beyond that, don't read the posts. You know, I'm a white woman, but I've been a woman on the internet for some time. And if I, you know, read YouTube comments for something like this, I recognize there's a potential that someone might say something real shitty about me. And I'd like to be protected from that. But at the end of the day, it sucks. But some of that does become, you got to protect yourself. Should CW be stepping up on their own post? Absolutely. But if she's getting DMs and stuff, it sucks, but yeah, there's only so much they can do to protect her from that as a company.
Well, guys, the question is for you. What do you think about this? Unfortunately, there are knuckle-dragging, cousin-humping, basement-dwelling losers in our society who will do shitty stuff like this. However, what do you think a company that you're working for can maybe do to mitigate that, if anything at all? I mean, as Amy's pointing out, maybe it's one thing if it's their own channel, but what about when it's just open social media, whether it's an Instagram or a Twitter or whatever? Whatever you guys think about this touchy situation, jump down to the comment section below and leave us your thoughts.